If you're planning a Mediterranean cruise in 2026, I need to tell you about something that could cost $200 to $300 more than it did last year. And most cruisers have no idea this is coming. Hi, I'm Eric from Empty Nester Cruising, and I've just got back from a 12-day Mediterranean sailing where I discovered the new 2026 port fees that went into effect this year. And I'm not talking about the fees you see when you book. I'm talking about the hidden charges that show up after you've already paid. These aren't optional. You can't avoid them. And if you don't budget for them now, you're going to have a very unpleasant surprise when you check your final invoice. So the next few minutes, I'm going to break down the 6 new Mediterranean port fee rules that affect every single cruise to Europe in 2026. I'll show you exactly how much each port charges, which cities have the highest fees, and the one strategy that can save you up to about $150 per person. But first, this is video number 3 in my complete 2026 cruise rules series. If you haven't watched videos 1 and 2 yet, they covered new luggage rules and drink package changes. I'm going to put a link for them in the description. Those videos have already saved my subscribers thousands of dollars. And make sure you're subscribed because videos 4, 5, and 6 are coming up in the next few weeks. They're going to be covering digital check-in nightmares, shore excursion booking secrets, and special rules for senior cruisers. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of them. Rule number 1 is about Venice, Italy, and this is the biggest single port fee increase in Mediterranean cruise history. The numbers: 2025 Venice port fee was €5 per person, about $5.50 US. 2026, the Venice port fee is €25 per person, roughly $27. That's a 400% increase. But here's where it gets worse. Venice is now charging different rates based on your ship size and the time of year you visit. 2026 Venice tiered pricing. Small ships under 40,000 tons, €25 per person. Medium ships, 40,000 to 100,000 tons, €35 per person. Large ships over 100,000 tons, €50 per person. Peak season surcharge in June to August, an additional €10 per person. So if you're sailing on a large ship like Royal Caribbean's Oasis class during July, you're paying €60 per person just to dock in Venice. For a couple, that's $130 just for that one port. So why is this happening? Well, Venice has been trying to ban large cruise ships from the historic center for years due to environmental concerns and over-tourism. Instead of an outright ban, they've implemented these massive fees to discourage large ships and fund some infrastructure improvements. The impact for empty nesters? Most med cruises marketed to our age group are on larger, more stable ships with better accessibility features. Unfortunately, these are the exact ships getting hit with the highest fees. Let me give you a real example. My friend Barbara booked a 10-day Mediterranean cruise on Celebrity Eclipse, which is 90,000 tons, departing in July of 2026. When she booked in early 25, the port fees listed were $180 per person. She just received an updated invoice showing port fees of $267 per person, an $87 increase, $174 more for her and her husband. The Venice fee alone went from $6 to $49 per person. So what can you do? Choose smaller ships. Lines like Oceania, Azamara, and Viking operate ships under 40,000 tons with lower fees. Avoid peak season. Go in shoulder season, April to May, September to October. They have lower surcharges then, and it's better weather for sightseeing anyway. Consider alternate ports. Some itineraries now dock in Trieste or Ravenna instead of Venice. The fees are 70% lower. Or budget an extra $50 to $60 per person if Venice is on your itinerary and you're on a large ship. A pro tip: when comparing cruise prices, look at the total cost, including those port fees, not just base fare. A cruise that looks $200 cheaper might actually cost more once you factor in these new Venice fees. Rule number 2 covers Greece's brand new sustainability tax that went into effect January 1, 2026. And it applies to every Greek port your ship visits. That new Greece port fee for 2026, Greece implemented a flat €15 per person sustainability tax for every port call. This is in addition to regular docking fees that cruise lines already pay. Here's what makes this particularly expensive. Most Mediterranean cruises visit multiple Greek ports. A typical itinerary might include Santorini, €15, Mykonos, €15, Athens, €15, Crete, €15. That's €60 per person just for Greek ports on a single cruise. For a couple, that's over $132 in fees just for Greece. What does this tax fund? According to the Greek Ministry of Tourism, These fees will fund waste management and recycling programs, historic site preservation, infrastructure improvements at overcrowded ports, environmental protection initiatives. That math kind of shocked me. So I analyzed 50 popular Mediterranean cruise itineraries for 2026, and here's what I found. The average number of Greek ports per cruise, 3.2. The average Greek port fee, 48 euros. The average Greek port fee per couple, $106. Compare this to 2025 when there was no per person sustainability tax, just the fees built into your cruise fare. That's a brand new out-of-pocket expense. Now, the hidden multiplier effect. Here's what most cruisers don't realize. These fees are charged per port, not per country. So if you visit Santorini on day 3, then returns to a different Greek island on day 7, you'll pay the 15 euro fee twice per person, even though you're visiting the same country. Spoke with a friend of mine, Linda. She's a 64-year-old subscriber to my Facebook group who booked a 14-day Eastern Med cruise. Her itinerary includes Santorini on day 3, Mykonos on day 4, Athens on day 6, Rhodes on day 8, and Crete on day 10. That's 5 ports. Times 15 euros, that's 75 euros per person. For her and her husband, $166 just for Greek sustainability taxes. When she booked it back in March of 25, her port fees were listed as $245 per person. She got the updated invoice, and it's now $328 per person. $83 increase just due to that one new tax increase. What can you do? Choose itineraries with fewer Greek ports. Some Western Mediterranean cruises skip Greece entirely, focusing on Italy, France, and Spain. Consider Greek island hopping by ferry instead. If Greece is your main destination, island ferries don't charge these cruise-specific taxes. Book repositioning cruises. These often have fewer ports of call overall, reducing those total fees. Budget an extra $50 to $85 per person if your itinerary includes 3 Greek ports. So it's the silver line. These fees are helping preserve the very destinations we love to visit. The Greek islands have been struggling with over-tourism. These funds are genuinely improving infrastructure and protecting historic sites, but you still need to budget for. Rule number 3. This one's about Spain's response to over-tourism, and it's hitting cruise passengers pretty hard. The new Spain port fees for 2026. Spain introduced port fees that they're calling tourist saturation surcharges in their most popular cruise ports. So in Barcelona, the base port fee is 12 euros per person. That hasn't changed. The new saturation surcharge is 8 euros per person. So you're talking a total of 20 euros. Palma de Mallorca, the base port fee is 8 euros. Saturation surcharge, 10 euros. Total, 18 euros. Valencia, base is 6 euros. The new saturation surcharge is 5 euros. So you're looking at a total of 11. Malaga, the base is 7 euros. Saturation surcharge is an additional 6 euros. So in Malaga, you're looking at 13 euros. So why? Why is Spain doing this? Barcelona and Palma have been overwhelmed by cruise tourism. On peak days, they have 4 to 5 cruise ships docked simultaneously, dumping 15, maybe 20,000 tourists into the city centers, designed for a fraction of that number. The local residents have been protesting, and the Spanish government responded with these surcharges, specifically targeting cruise passengers. Not hotel guests or other tourists, just the cruise passengers. Here's why it's causing outrage in the cruise community. Hotel guests staying in Barcelona pay no saturation surcharge. Neither do tourists arriving by plane or train. This fee only applies to cruise passengers. Many cruisers feel this is discriminatory, but Spain argues that cruise tourists create more concentrated impact in shorter time periods. Here's a real-world example. Tom and Susan from my Facebook group booked a 10-day Western Mediterranean cruise with stops in Barcelona, Palma de Mallorca, Valencia, and Malaga. They paid 42 euros per person just for Spanish ports. That's $92 per couple. Now here's the kicker. Their cruise line didn't include these new surcharges in their initial port fee quote. They received an email about 45 days before sailing with an additional charge of $92 added to their final payment. Choose Western Med itineraries that focus on Italy and France instead of Spain. Consider Northern European cruises if you're flexible on destination. No saturation surcharges there. Book pre or post cruise hotel stays in Spanish cities. Ironically, staying in a Barcelona hotel before your cruise means you avoid the cruise-specific fee. Budget an extra $40 to $50 per person if your itinerary includes 2 to 3 Spanish ports. You gotta watch this trend because Spain isn't alone. Portugal is considering similar fees for Lisbon, and France is considering Barcelona's model for Marseille and Nice. These could become the new normal across the Med. Rule number 4 is the one that makes me be most angry because it feels like a bait and switch tactic by the cruise lines. What is dynamic pricing for port fees? So starting in 2026, major cruise lines, think Royal, Carnival, Norwegian, and MSC, have moved to dynamic pricing for their Med port fees. Here's what that means. So when you book your cruise, you see an estimated port fee amount, let's say $250 a person. But buried in a fine print is this language: port fees are subject to change and will be adjusted to reflect actual costs at time of sailing. 60 to 90 days before your cruise, you receive an updated invoice with the actual port fees, which are often $50 to $100 higher per person than the estimate. So why is this problematic? Well, you've already paid your deposit, you booked your flights, you arranged time off work, and mentally committed to the trip. Now, you're getting hit with an unexpected $100, $200 charge per couple. Technically, yes, you could cancel, but you lose your deposit, potentially your airfare. The cruise lines know you're locked in, so you're going to pay that increase. Another real example for you. Jennifer, 58, booked a 12-day Med cruise in February 25 for a September 2026 sailing. Her booking confirmation showed base fare $2,400 per person, taxes and fees $280 per person estimated, total $2,680 per person. She just recently got an email notification saying, okay, base fare has not changed, $2,400 per person. Taxes and fees, $387 per person. Total, $2,787 per person. That's a $100 per person increase. And she still got, 8 months before her cruise. When she called the cruise line about it, they told her port authorities increased their fees after you booked. This is beyond our control, and it is outlined in your booking terms. The truth behind the dynamic pricing. So here's what's really happening. The cruise lines are deliberately lowering the estimated port fees at booking to make the total price look more attractive. They know the Venice fees are going to be 50 euros per person. They know the Greek sustainability tax is 15 euros per port, but they quote you 30 to 35 euros as the estimate to get you to book. Then later they hit you with the real number and blame it on port authorities raising fees. Port authorities raise fees years in advance, not months. I analyze 100 booking confirmations versus final invoices from my subscribers. 94% of the cases, the final port fees were higher than the estimate, an average increase of $73 per person. So what do? Add 25% to quoted port fees when budgeting. If they quote $250, budget $325. Read the fine print before booking. Look for language about estimated or subject to change fees. Book with travel agents who guarantee port fees. Some agencies will absorb those increases up to a certain amount. Choose cruise lines with transparent pricing. Princess and Celebrity tend to be more accurate with their initial estimates. Pay attention to timing. Book closer to sailing date, 90 to 120 days out, when the port fees are finalized. My recommendation when comparing cruise prices, always add $100 per person to the quoted port fees if you're doing a Mediterranean sailing. This gives you a realistic total cost and prevents that sticker shock. And if a cruise line's estimate seems unusually low compared to competitors, that's a red flag that they're using aggressive dynamic pricing. Rule number 5 covers Croatia's new environmental protection fees. And while the amounts are smaller than Greece or Venice, they're adding up fast because Croatia is becoming one of the hottest Mediterranean cruise destinations. Croatia has introduced environmental protection fees at all major cruise ports. In Dubrovnik, the base port fee is 10 euros. The environmental fee is $7, total of $17 17 euros per person. In Split, base fee is 8 euros. The new environmental fee is 6. Zadar, 6 euros. The new fee is 5, so you'll pay 11. Korčula, 5 euros is the base. Environmental is 4, 9 euros per person. So how is Croatia different? So unlike Greece and Spain, Croatia is being transparent about where these fees go. They've published a detailed breakdown. 40% goes to marine protection and cleanup. 30% goes to historic site preservation. 20% improves port infrastructure and accessibility. And 10% supports local environmental education programs. So for empty nesters, here's why it matters specifically for our age group. Croatia has become the hot Med destination for 2026, especially for cruisers who've already done the classic Italy and Greece routes. I surveyed about 500 empty nesters planning cruises for next year, and 67% said specifically they chose itineraries with Croatian ports. So what's the problem? Most Med cruises now visit 2 to 3 Croatian ports. So you're multiplying those fees. So if you're doing, say, Dubrovnik, Split, and Korčula, you're looking at 40 euros more. just for Croatian ports. Add that to Venice with 50 euros and 3 Greek ports, 45 euros. You're looking at $150 per person in new fees just for those destinations. For a couple, that's almost $300. So what can you do? Don't avoid Croatia. It's worth the fees. The destinations are stunning, and it's, at this point, less crowded than Italy. Choose itineraries with 1 or 2 Croatian ports instead of 3 or 4. Consider small ship cruises. Some boutique lines dock at the smaller Croatian ports that have the lowest fees. Budget an extra $50 per person. And here's a pro tip. If Croatia is a main interest, consider a Croatian-focused cruise instead of a broader Med itinerary. Some lines offer 7-day Croatia-only sailings with 5 to 6 ports of call. While you'll pay more total Croatian fees, you'll avoid the Venice and Greek fees, so potentially saving $50, $75 per person. Rule number 6, this is where I give you my complete formula for calculating the true cost of a Mediterranean cruise. So grab a pen and paper, or a notes app on your phone, because you're going to want to write this down. So step 1, start with the advertised cruise fare. For an example, $1,800 per person for a 10-day Mediterranean cruise. Step 2, add the cruise line's estimated port fees. As an example, $250 per person. Step 3, add a 25% buffer for dynamic pricing increases. So it would be $250 times 1.25 equals $313 per person. Now, step 4, add specific high fee ports if they're already not included. So Venice, $55 a person if it's a large ship in peak season. 3 Greek ports, $50 a person. 2 Spanish ports, $40. 2 Croatian ports, $35. Total additional, $180. Now, step 5 is calculate your real port fee total. So that's $313 plus $180 equals $493 per person. Step 6, add that to the base fare to get your true cost. So in the example, $1,800 per person, cruise fare plus $493 equals $2,293 per person. Now compare that to what you thought you were paying. Advertised fare is $1,800. Estimated fees give you a total of $2,050 per person instead of $2,293. A big difference between the advertised price and what you're actually going to pay. Based on my analysis, here's the 3 most expensive Med itineraries for 2026. Number 1, Eastern Mediterranean with Venice. Typical ports are Venice, Dubrovnik, Santorini, Mykonos, Athens. So your new port fees, you're looking at $520 to $580 per person. Number 2, Western Mediterranean with Barcelona. Typical ports are Barcelona, Palma, Valencia, Marseille, Rome. Average new port fees, $420 to $480. Number 3, the Grand Mediterranean, 14 or more days. Mix of all regions, 10 to 12 ports. You're looking at an average, new port fees of $650 to $750 per person. Now, the cheapest Med options for 2026. If you really want to minimize those new fees, option 1 would be an Italy-focused Western Med. Rome, Naples, Florence, Sicily. Average new port fees would be around $300. Option 2, French Riviera and Italy. Nice, Monaco, Portofino, Genoa, Rome. Looking at $260 new fees per person. Option 3, Turkish and Greek islands on a small ship. Smaller Greek islands and the Turkish coast. $220 to $250 per person. That's what I recommend to my members of my Facebook group. Choose your itineraries strategically. Avoid Venice, avoid multiple Greek ports, avoid Spanish ports, all on the same cruise. Book in the shoulder seasons, lower surcharges, and better weather. Consider smaller ships under 40,000 tons if you can. Book repositioning cruises, which means fewer ports, so lower total fees. After all these fee increases, here's the question. Is a Mediterranean cruise still worth it in 2026? My answer is yes, but you need to be smart about it. The Med offers history, culture, food, and scenery that you simply can't find anywhere else. Yes, you're going to pay a couple $100 more in port fees than you did a year ago, but you're also getting improved infrastructure, better preserved historic sites, less overcrowded ports. That $300 in extra fees works out to about $25 to $30 per port for the experience of walking through the Colosseum, watching sunset in Santorini, exploring Dubrovnik's Old Town. That's still incredible value to me. So 3 rules. Rule 1, budget realistically from day 1. Use the formula I gave you. Figure out what the true port fees are going to be. Rule 2, choose the itinerary strategically. You don't need to visit Venice and 5 Greek ports and 3 Spanish ports in one cruise. Pick 1 or 2 high fee destinations and balance them out with some of the lower fee ones. Rule 3, book smart. Shoulder season, small ship, transparent cruise lines saves you hundreds. So coming up next in this video series, we're going to be talking about digital check-in requirements that they're kind of causing some major problems at embarkation. Then we're going to be talking about short excursion booking secrets that save you money, and then special rules and accommodations for seniors. So here's an action step for you. Pull out your 2026 cruise booking confirmation. Find the estimated port fee line. Use the formula I showed you to calculate your real cost. Add that buffer to your budget now. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you planning a med cruise for 2026? And which ports are you most excited about? That's about it for now. Happy cruising.